From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, forcing the football. DJ's played a lot of football, but so did another quarterback that totally changed his life after a transfer. Let's talk about it. Baseball with a really weird weekend, but they get a victory they needed on Sunday. And Corey, rough weekend for our guy. He tells us a story to start things off, so check the show notes if you want to jump to the football. Wake Up Warchant presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. If you're in a rush, you can always go to cptallybar.com, check out the menu before you show up to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. But I'm here to let you know today's lunch special. It's Monday. Build your own burger, $8.99. Side dish of your choice as well with that build your own burger. From 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., half pound, all black Angus beef burger. Might get my afternoon started off with a little half pound black Angus beef burger from the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill with some curly fries. I think I would go with Corey. Or wait, they got
the burgers are really good, like crazy good, way too good than you would think, for real.
I lied. I would go with tater tots. That's one of the options. Okay. So I would go to tater tots. You go over to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, everybody. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website. Our website, warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Thumbs up, 5-star rating and review. I'm going to keep saying it until somebody over at corporate tells me that it's no longer working. But FSU won 2 months, $1. I think. If not, just go to warchant.com. You can sign up for a month for $1. But try the FSU 1 promo code. You might be able to get 2 months for $1. And that'll get you right up until the start of fall camp, where, well, not the start of fall camp. We're in May. It'll be July. I don't know. What do we do in July, Corey? I don't even remember. Do we rest?
We take vacation, yeah. Maybe I do the top 40.
Oh, yeah.
Top 40. That might come out, yeah.
I think we'll be in Omaha. Feeling good after this past weekend, but nonetheless, how are you though? Let's check in real quick. How are things?
It's been a trying last 4 days or so. Don't want to bore people too. You know what? I will. I don't care. It's not football season. I'm going to tell you guys a little story. Coming back home on Thursday.
To Tallahassee. Tallahassee being
coming
home?
back to Tallahassee, yep. I'm about 5 miles from my house. Pass a cop that's on the side of the road, going the speed limit. Not tailgating anyone. He pulls out behind me very, very quickly, turns on his flashers, goes in the left lane to get around a car to pull up right behind me. I pull over to the side of the road. He comes up to the other side, the other window, not my window, but the other window, which had never happened before. And he says, "Do you know you're driving with a suspended license?" And I go,
smokes.
"What?" And he goes, "Yeah, your license has been suspended since October." And I'm like, "What? For what?"
Well, does he say this off the rip, or does he ask for your license first?
No, right away. He says it off the rip.
Huh.
He right away. I'm pulling you over. I don't even think he said I pulled you over because you have a suspended license. He just said, "Do you know you have a suspended license?"
Jeez.
And I said, "What?" But I said it in a way where if I did know, I'm a bad actor, and it probably looked to him like I was acting like confused, but I really had no idea. Since October, he tells me. Oh, wow. He can't tell me why. Just that it's been suspended since October. I show him proof of insurance. I show him the registration. It's updated, all that. I didn't have a decal on my tag or on my plate, but it was still registered. The car was registered. I bought the car in August of 2023. So anyway, don't know why I have a suspended license, but he can't allow me to drive the car.
Correct.
But he also deplates the car. He takes my license and the plate off the back.
Oh my gosh!
So it has to get towed. So keep that in mind. Yeah, it has to get towed 5 miles to my house. So anyway, Stephanie comes and picks me up. The tow driver brings the car in like 20 minutes later. Go Friday to figure out, go to the DMV or the clerk of courts or whatever, tax collector, figure out what it is. They tell me that when I bought my car in August, I switched the insurance from my car that I did have, the 2017, to the new one, the 2022. I switched my insurance. But I didn't turn in my license plate from the car that I no longer insured, which I didn't know I was supposed to do because I'm an idiot, I guess. I didn't trade in my car. Most people trade in their cars. I didn't.
Carvana guy over here, right?
Right, but also I was keeping the car for Brady. So I'm like, well, it's registered, but I don't need to insure it right now because I do not drive it. So I wasn't driving my car. I was driving my new car, but the other car had been in my driveway literally for 7 months. Well, because I didn't turn in the license plate, it was still registered, and then the insurance, there was no insurance on it. So technically my insurance lapsed, and so after 2 months, they sent me a warning, I guess, that I didn't see. My license was suspended in October for not paying insurance on a car that
You don't even drive.
I don't even drive, but I didn't turn in the plate.
Unbelievable.
So let this be a lesson to everyone that when you do trade it, when you do buy a car and you don't trade it in, you're keeping it. You either keep it insured, which I guess some people would do, or you turn in the license plate. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. So anyway, pay $300 for that. Get my license back. Bring in the plate from the old car, so we're all set. Get in the car yesterday to start it to drive up to go work out, and nothing works. The power steering doesn't work. The car turns on. No power steering. I get a warning light for the brakes, for the airbag, for everything else, and the power steering doesn't work. So, because whoever towed it, I'm not going to name names unless it gets ugly. I might name names if it gets ugly. But the guy that towed it, clearly, unless it's the biggest coincidence in the world, did something when he put it on the rack when he towed it, because now I have no power steering. All the warning lights are coming on. The electrical system is all screwed up.
Oh, no.
And none of that was happening before it got towed on Thursday. So anyway, that was and plus I haven't felt great. A little bit under the weather. So that's been the last 4 days over here. So yeah, we're gonna get it towed to the Mazda dealership hopefully, and they will be able to. It's a quick fix. I hope it's just an electrical thing. I hope. And then it'll just be a couple of days of a pain in the butt. But let's hope it's not something serious, because then it could get ugly. So anyway, that was my 4 days. It's been a little bit of a not the best weekend I've ever had in Tallahassee.
Too bad you can't drive your other car.
Yeah, I know. I had to turn in the tag.
Yeah.
I should have taken the new tag that I just got, put it on the old car, and started driving that thing around for a while. Good idea, Aslan.
At least it's under warranty, the car, though. So
It is, yeah. Yeah, it should. Yeah, so.
But still, though, that's not. I cannot believe you got. I mean, it's like they were looking out for you, like you were OJ and AC in the Bronco. Like, wait for this Mazda to roll in through Tallahassee. If
that?
you see it, peg them.
Yeah. So I have a friend that's a cop. Well, he's a sort of friend. I guess he's more of an acquaintance. I don't think he'd want me calling him a friend, but we're acquaintances. Oh. And I asked him, how did he know? He wasn't running license plates out. He goes, they have these things up on the road, I guess sometimes. They're called, I don't know what they're called, DLR readers, driver's license readers, where if a cop is close enough to one of those little posts, and a car drives by that has a suspended license, it dings you. So he just happened to be there when I drove by, and he got dinged. So good times. And Stephanie's loved it.
World.
I know. Stephanie's had a good time, because it's like Stephanie's had a good time driving me around and chauffeuring me everywhere. But it's like, man, I get it is on me, I guess. I made the mistake. I did not know that I was supposed to turn in the tag of the car that I was no longer driving, because I don't insure it anymore. But it's just crazy to me that the car that is insured, that I do have insurance on, and I do have I thought I had a valid license, but I do have registration and up-to-date insurance. It still got deplated, and my tag was taken away, and it had to be towed because I wasn't paying insurance on a car I don't drive. Anyway, good times. Hopefully we'll get. And I don't want the points on my. I can't handle the points as long. I might get another suspended license for real if they add all these points up. Anyway, hey, good weekend for Florida State baseball. Well, a decent weekend, I guess.
All right, we can start there. I was going to we'll force a football after the midway point of the show, but yeah, they didn't get 3 games in. I guess we can touch a little bit on that whole fiasco, but what a weird series, because it wasn't a 3-game series.
Right.
The opener on Friday had a huge weather delay that
in quotes. You're doing finger quotes, right?
I am, everybody. Right. Finger quotes around the weather delay that rendered your home field advantage impotent. I mean,
yes.
The game was still going on at 11 o'clock at night. It was a 6 o'clock first pitch. Everybody left, except for 300 other people. You lost that game 8-7, but some bad luck, if you will, contributed to that loss. You did come back after that delay and get some runs on the board early. You had the bases loaded, down by 1 in the 8th inning, if I'm not mistaken. I think you might have even had 1 out when the bases were loaded. But you couldn't scratch or run across. Then on Saturday, you don't even play a game due to the the field not being in great shape, apparently, and then another weather event not too far off. So then you play on Sunday, and then Florida State looked every bit as good as we think they are. I think that's who they can be in a certain degree, at least defensively. We saw them offensively make things happen, scoring 8 runs in the ball game. And Carson Dorsey, again, I mean, maybe not an epiphany, a revelation, but man, for him to be able to, 5 2/3, lots of good stuff to build off of, because that's a good NC State team, man. So I feel good about Florida State's trajectory as we go here into the teeth of everything. It's post-finals week. It's real time now in college baseball.
Yeah, so I talked to Link, if anybody doesn't know. So Friday, I'll get into it real quick. It's something that's plagued this program and this facility since I've been doing this for the last 15 years. I'll never forget a super regional against Arkansas where Sean Gilmartin is pitching and pitching well, and then they delayed the game. I think it ended up being a 5-hour delay, and it was partly cloudy the whole time because there was lightning in the area. But it's not in the area. It's within, I guess, 8 miles, but it's nowhere near the stadium, and the stadium isn't affected or impacted. It's literally partly cloudy skies, and nobody's playing baseball. It's just preposterous. But anyway, so it's been 15 years of that. And on Friday night, if you can read a radar, like I was looking, it started to break up. There was a little pocket coming, but it started to break up, and all the main area where lightning was produced was 4 miles in one direction or 3 miles in the other direction. Nothing was near Howser. And I say this, I promise you, I think I've said this before, I had a family friend that was struck by lightning that completely changed the course of her life and her parents' lives. It was an awful, awful situation. They were playing Ultimate Frisbee. She got struck by lightning and immediately went from a vivacious, vibrant 30-year-old woman to having to learn how to walk and talk again. It was awful. And her best friend next to her, it splashed off her, and he died instantly. Oh. Like, it was an awful situation. I've written a story about a kid, I think it was from Thomasville, Ben Jackson, who got struck in the middle of a pitch and died on the baseball field from lightning. I know how serious lightning is. But there has to be – so, obviously, that takes precedence. Safety takes precedent. There was no risk. And all the lightning that was around was miles and miles away, and it wasn't coming towards you. It was going away from you. So, again, they postponed a game for an hour and a half and put on a tarp where it didn't rain and there was no lightning danger. So, like you said, you had a nice crowd, probably 5,500 people there to start 2 ranked teams, a Friday night. 6-2, but it's only the third inning, and you have one of the best offenses in the country. And NC State's been very lucky to get those 6 runs. You're right in it, and then by the time the game starts again, the crowd is less than 1,000 because people leave. When you're sitting there at a rain delay, quote unquote, weather delay, and there's no weather, you're like, well, okay, well, I can't just sit. It's not like we're waiting for a storm something to pass through. There's nothing that's doing this to us now. There's no storm on us now, so who knows when they're going to start this again. So anyway, it was an hour and a half delay. I do think they win that game. I could be foolhardy. I do think they win that game if the crowd is in it. Because as soon as you come back from the delay, Tibbs hits a 2-run bomb. Dinges hits a home run right after that. It's 6-5, and I have a hard time thinking that those NC State pitchers would have handled a Friday night Howser crowd as well as they ended up doing the rest of the way if there were more than 100 people there. So anyway, you lost that game. Then Saturday comes, and apparently it sounds like it might have been Link's decision, or part of Link's decision was the field was in bad shape Friday because there was a pop-up storm that I guess happened that they weren't ready for that really soaked the infield and made the clay really uneven and hard, and I guess he said it was dangerous, and that there was another storm that was approaching, and they didn't want to start it at 7, stop, and then have to start again at 8:30, so they just pushed it to Sunday, which in that instance – Link's he's probably smart to do that. You don't have a Game 3 starter. Go ahead and once you lost that first game, go ahead and salvage the odds of you winning 2 in a row when you got Dorsey and then nobody are probably pretty slim. So just make it a 2-game series. And then so they did. And then like you said, they came out on Sunday and I thought played defensively anyway their best game of the year. They've been good defensively all year, but they made some really spectacular plays in the field, made every routine play, and it was a nice kind of by-the-books, really impressive 8-1 win over a good baseball team. So they did what they needed to do, right? They split the series. They treaded water, which when you're trying to get a top 8 national seed, treading water, going 1-1 is a really nice way to it was exactly what they needed to do to stay right in the conversation.
Yeah. again, they're 7th in the country. I mean, I think NC State might even be higher than 20th in some polls, but they're listed as being 20th.
They're 13-1, yeah.
Yeah, it's who's 13-1?
NC State was in 13 in like D1 baseball.
I thought you said like 13 and
no,
1
I'm sorry,
of the
they're
polls.
13-1 of the polls. I'm sorry.
Play some games, even. Like, we keep ducking everybody.
Yeah,
for
that was
them.
their first loss of the year, Aston.
Yeah, let's go Noles. Cam Smith with a bomb on Sunday, and then Alex Lodi's with a pair of doubles, and then some good work in the infield. Man, they're starting to show obviously how they're built and the metal they're built with, and what they're capable of this postseason, Corey. And I just wonder, Lodi seemingly is going to hold on to the shortstop position. I think Farrow and Fisher, I know that's a platoon situation, how Link wants to work that, but I'm really curious how they're going to. Obviously, we'll talk about pitching here in a minute, but Diamez Ross goes 1 for 3, but he probably saved 2 runs in a diving catch that he made in center field that I don't think Max Williams would have gotten to. And listen, I get it. This team is so offensively skilled, and this is what makes them so fun to watch. But do you start giving more consideration to maybe having Ross being your starter in center field? Because I mean, I know he can't rake the way that Max Williams can, but man, Max Williams is not going to guarantee you a 2-run homer every single day. But seemingly Diamez Ross is going to probably be able to guarantee you a catch of that caliber if it's in his area when he's playing out there in center field.
Yeah, no, I would still. And we talked to Link afterwards. So Max Williams, the leadoff hitter, was first batter of the game. He gets hit on the hand. And when you get hit on the hand with 92 miles an hour, when the hand gets trapped between the ball and the bat, well, that's how fingers and hands get broken. But Link said so they took him out of the game after the first inning. But Link said he was fine. They said the X-rays came back negative, which is good news, everyone. Michael Scott always thought negative. If it came back negative, it was horrible news. They came back negative, so he should be fine. I still think Max Williams has been too good for you to just start putting Diamez Ross in there because you're not going to put him in for Ferrer or Tibbs, and you can't. None of those guys can DH because that's what Dingus does, and he's one of the best DHs in the country. It's just Diamez seems like the odd man out, but it was really cool that when he was forced into action, again it was 8-1, but in this instance it was top 6 5-1. And NC State had the bases loaded with 2 outs in a line drive by the leadoff hitter that's sinking fast, that if it lands, it's 2 runs. So it's 5-3, and you're still not out of it. Instead, he makes a great diving catch to end the inning. Seeing how excited his teammates were for him, seeing Tibbs' reaction to that was really cool to see. Like, this is game 45 or whatever, but Tibbs knew how big a play that was, and I think they know this is the kid that started the year as your leadoff hitter and then has been a backup now for a month or 6 weeks. For him to come in like that and make at that time a game-saving play was really cool for him. And then he actually had a couple good at-bats there at the end. He worked a walk, he had a hit. I think he scored a run after walking in one of those innings. So, yeah, man, it's good to have that in your back pocket if you need it. But no, I still think by and large. But I don't think Max Williams catches that ball. But there's obviously some things that Max Williams does that Diamez Ross can't do. But yeah, it's good to have that in your back pocket if you need it. It's good to have that in case you want to put him in as a pinch runner in the 7th or 8th inning, knowing that he can go play center field as a defensive replacement the last couple innings.
No, it's crazy too that they end up plating 8 runs, but 4, 5, 6, and 7 when it combined 1 of 12. It's crazy.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Dingus had the only hit of the day for that part of the lineup. Ferrer 0 for 3, Cantu 0 for 3. But he drew a walk, I know for sure, Cantu. I saw that. And then Holdrick 0 for 3. But let's pivot then to pitching. Carson Dorsey, 5 2/3, 103 pitches, 6 hits, but only 1 run across the plate. Gutty moxie performance from Carson Dorsey. And it seems like we don't know the Cam Leiter and Connor Whitaker situation remains in flux, I guess is probably the best way to say it. So Carson Dorsey is, for all intents and purposes, your number 2 starter. I know he maybe didn't look as dominant as you hoped he would have, Corey, but again, that's a pretty solid NC State team. I think he's building confidence, and I feel really good, especially if we hopefully get Whitaker or Leiter back here at some point in the not too distant future.
Well, yeah, because I don't think he was very good. He wasn't his normal self on Sunday. He only had 3 strikeouts, none in the first 3 innings, which is odd for him because he's a strikeout guy. He can rack up big numbers. He was struggling throwing strikes, but he did just enough. Like I think he was literally one pitch away from being out of the game. He gave up they were up 4-0. He struggled to get out of the first, but he did. And then the next inning starts with like a bunt single and then a walk, 4-pitch walk. And then he's 3-0 on the next batter. And it's not like he's nibbling and barely missing. Like, these are fastballs that Holbrook is having to jump up to catch. But he doesn't walk that next kid. He ends up getting him out. He fires a couple of strikes. And after that, he still would have those moments where Holbrook was jumping up and down. He'd have these 4-pitch walks, but he got out of it. Now, some of it is, Ross making that diving catch. I know Holtz was pitching, but those were Dorsey's runners. Ferrer made a diving catch and left that saved a run. Lodi's made a backhanded diving catch in the sixth inning that ended up saving a run, wound up inning saving. So he got some defensive help, but yeah, I liked it. You gotta get outs even when you're not dominant. You gotta get outs when you're struggling. Like, I hate when pitchers just, I don't have my good stuff today, and it's like they're looking to the dugout. When are you going to come take me out? I just don't have it today. I can't locate. Oh, well, I'll get him next time. No, man, he was out there, and he's like, yep, this isn't who I've been. I'm not great right now. I'm struggling, but he ended up giving his team 17 outs, which when you have the bullpen issues that Florida State has had and you're down a couple arms, that's a really big deal. So, yeah, good for him. That was a really impressive way to pitch when you're not pitching well, if that makes sense. Because he was not dominant. He was not sharp in the least. He threw as many balls as he did strikes in those 103 pitches, but he only gave up one run to a good baseball team. So, yeah, that's good for him, and that's a nice step for him moving forward, and I think that kind of just solidifies him in the rotation for sure, even if those two dudes come back.
No. Holtz pitched on Friday night, only 1/3 of an inning, got hit and allowed a walk. But then he comes in on Sunday and is completely in control and in command. So that was awesome to see as he goes 3 1/3 to shut things down, only allowing one hit in that course of action. Ben Barrett did get the pitch, double his output from 2 pitches last week to 4 on Friday. But apparently, was he on the mound when the delay kicked in, Corey?
No. Jamie Arnold was still on the mound. He came out after Arnold. So, yeah, that's another thing. You only got 9 outs out of your best pitcher. And Arnold on Friday, I know he gave up 6 or 7 hits or whatever, maybe 8. I don't know.
9.
But he gave up 9 hits?
Yeah.
Arnold did?
Yep.
And I would guess legitimately 5 of them, maybe 6 of them were infield hits. Just horrible luck. Like, some of them were good bunts. Other ones just were little choppers that they didn't field quickly enough. They didn't get to in time. NC State can run. They put the bat on the ball. He gave up a bloop double down the left field line that was hit 50 miles an hour. Just pitched in really bad luck. But you went through a series where you only got 9 outs out of your ace, and you still split it with NC State. So he's not going to pitch. He's not going to have that unlucky a pitching line next time he's out there. So it was he was okay. But yeah, no, Barrett came out, I think, just through the 4th inning after the rain delay.
Yeah,
sorry, after the partly cloudy delay.
Yeah, so he mentioned something about the changeover, so I was like, what is that all about? But yeah, so Barrett was back in action, and he did say that things looked better than last week. Or Link said that about Barrett, so that's obviously encouraging.
That's good, yeah.
Any bit of a downer to Friday night's game because, Florida State basically lost on a wild pitch. If they don't put themselves in that situation where Abraham, walks 3 dudes and, a pitch gets away from the catcher, they probably on this that game was at least tied and then probably goes to extra innings. But it just seemingly, again, like Oxford had a really good outing on pretty solid outing on Friday night. You got someone from Holtz. I feel like Oxford is pretty reliable. Like, I don't know, we have some sort of spectrum here of reliability, like pretty reliable or not really reliable. Oxford's on the right side of it. I think Abraham's right in the middle. Unfortunately, I think Holtz is kind of right in the middle.
No, I think Holtz is your reliable guy now.
Is he starting to trend
I think
on?
he's the most reliable guy they got right now, honestly.
Yeah, he's been pitching pretty well the last month outside of, Friday night, and that was obviously a weird situation. I think Joe Charles is kind of on the right side of that spectrum of reliability, but I don't know how many other programs really have like slam the door guys coming out of the bullpen. And hopefully if they just get Whitaker back, right, or they just get Leiter back, that changes the entire dynamic of how consistent and reliable this bullpen could be, right?
Oh, for sure. And I think if they get both of them back, it's hard to know with Link. He said they're ramping up Whitaker, he's being ramped up, whatever that means. We'll see. I guess we talk to him again on Tuesday because they have a home game against Jacksonville. We'll ask him what the plan is. Hopefully he'll tell us. Because I'm of the opinion now, watching this team now for, what are we, almost at 50 games, 45 games. They're good enough to win the whole thing if they get one electric arm back. Like Cam Leiter, the electricity in his right arm where he can keep a really good, you're facing Arkansas in the first game in Omaha or the second game in Omaha. He can keep Arkansas to 2 runs over 7 innings or 2 runs over 5 1/3. He can give you a chance where your offense can make some hay and you can win a game 5-3 or something. That's what Leiter can give you. I don't know they got that otherwise. It's great. Yeah, you got Arnold. Dorsey's proven he can pitch. Well, what do you do for game 3 in Omaha? What do you do for game 3 of a super or game 3 for a regional? None of that's being answered right now, and that's still my biggest concern moving forward. If they could get one or both of those guys, hopefully both of those guys back, this is a championship caliber team. The problem is I can't take it on face value anymore that they're coming back. It's been 6 weeks of they're ramping up. So I'm not counting on it, which to me is just a shame. It's just a shame. It's like what Florida State should have been able to go to the college football playoff. We all know that. I think I'm on record. I think I've said that I thought they got snubbed. It would have been a shame. It would have been awesome that they made it. They should have made it. But it would have been a shame they were there without Jordan Travis. Because with Jordan Travis as their quarterback, Florida State had as good a chance as anyone of winning the college football playoff. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think with this baseball team. If you were fully staffed, health-wise, I think they have as good a chance as anybody because the offense plays anywhere against anyone typically, and the defense is good. And they got athleticism, and they got right and left. They got guys that can change the game with one swing, many of them. It's just a really nice collection, but, you just don't have – you need at least one more quality arm to have a real chance to do some noise in June, in my opinion.
Yeah. Man, I'm so excited about this team. I'll be disappointed if they don't make it out to Omaha, but I'm not going to – get angry at anybody. But I was just thinking about on Sunday, Lodi's, I think now on the season is batting 272. He had a double. Actually, I think he might
2 doubles.
Ticked up. Yeah.
Yeah,
he had 2 doubles. So I think he's 286 now. Watch out. Here he comes. But I was thinking about Lodi's in no way, shape, or form is he a liability. I mean, he's obviously what he's doing in the field is rock solid, but he's batting 286. But he's not consistent at the plate at all. But you're all right, we'll take it. We'll live with it because of what he does defensively. If he was on any of the teams 2-3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago, I think Lodis is probably one of your crown jewel players. If he's batting 286 and playing well in the field, you're man, this is awesome. But Florida State has now reached a point to where he's batting 9th or 8th in certain games. And then you just see how absolutely treacherous it is to try to go through this lineup, provided Max Williams can also be back and not incurred any sort of damage. But with Smith, Tibbs, Dinges, Ferrer, this is such a potent team, and it would be a shame if they don't get whole in the bullpen and the pitching staff to really see what they're capable of, because they are championship caliber for sure.
Yeah, and it says a lot when Lodi says you're worried about what he's, you're worried about if he's an albatross in the lineup, and my man's hitting 286 and slugging probably 450, and plays what he does at shortstop. And then Fisher played I think he played the last bit of the Friday night game and then played all of Sunday, and he hit a bomb and had 3 walks. So when you combine him and Ferreau together, I think they've got 10 home runs combined, 9 or 10 home runs combined from that position. And Lodis has got 6. They probably combined for 50-something RBIs out of your middle infield. That'll play, man. Especially those are your worst hitters, quote unquote. And Ferreau's hitting 280-something. Fisher, I don't know what he's hitting, but he's got 5 bombs now. And Lodis, like you said, is hitting 286. It's a good lineup, man. It's a good lineup. Lodis had a couple. He had a big hit, maybe in Boston. Or in Duke, maybe he had a couple of big hits, and then those doubles on Sunday were huge to help score some runs.
Cal Fisher's batting 298. So
yeah, they're all there, man.
Well, Corey, I will drive to you and help get your week started off on the right foot with some Vitamin Energy Mood Plus, if you don't mind. I'll bring the tropical berry flavor for you as well.
I need it.
Right.
I need it.
I want to try to help you out. Friends helping friends, people helping people, everybody. The folks over at Vitamin Energy helping you save big time. Use the promo code Warchant BOGO, Warchant BOGO. Buy one item, get one of equal or lesser value for absolutely free. Again, so many different options. The Mood Plus, the Immune Plus, Burner Plus, Focus Plus. There's also the Hydration, which I think I might take on my trip next week so I get some energy and some electrolytes. Because it's not just 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine that gets you going for 7 hours out of your day. There's also the vitamins and the nutrients to help improve your mood, boost your immune system, and help burn some fat. 89% of participants in the clinical trial agreed that it was effective at boosting their energy. 82% said they felt less fatigued quickly after taking the shot, and 78% it was effective at reducing brain fog. I mean, come on, it's clinically tested. They paid money to get tested. That's how much they believe in it. They believe in it so much they're giving it to you for free to try it out. So go to vitaminenergy.com and use the promo code Corey.
Warchant BOGO.
And buy one, get one free. vitaminenergy.com, shake it and take it. I didn't have to take a Mood Plus the other day, Corey, because I was a little bit nervous. Because when we kind of spoke about the finality, and now it's even that much more kind of cast has been dyed, or the die has been cast, rather.
There you go. You got it.
Man, see, I should have taken the Focus Plus. That, this roster football-wise kind of is what it is. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but we thought maybe there would be some defections, some additions, and that would change the complexion of this team. And I said, I don't think this is a national championship caliber roster. And then I'm like, man, that's probably going to get me in some trouble. But nobody tried to dunk on your boy. And I just want to kind of clarify that comment again, Corey, because I haven't been paying enough attention to everybody else playing spring football. I'll get my Phil Steele magazine in 2 months or whatever time.
Right.
But Georgia's the team that I don't want to say fearful of, but I just think they're still the gold standard, and I think we're probably still maybe a step or two off their pace. But everybody else is also taking a step back this year. Just think about the teams that were in the playoff. Alabama's got a new coach. Washington, obviously, because their coach went to Alabama. Michigan is going to have a new coach. Sherrone Moore, I know he's being promoted from within, but Harbaugh's leaving and 13 guys went to the league. Maybe that opens things up for Ohio State. But this, it's probably going to be another wide open college football season with maybe one team showing themselves to be just a little bit better than everybody else. I don't know, Corey, give me some reasons probably to think that Florida State isn't too far off, or they can't be one of those teams that can peak in November and December and then go on a run, because, we've talked about some of the needs they have, but they still have plenty enough to get past some of the best teams in the country in a 12-team playoff, don't we think?
Well, I just think right now, honestly, and maybe this is me being old and I don't have as much ambition as I used to, but I think the whole goal is to be in the contention for the playoff. Like having a national championship or bust attitude, this program hasn't earned that. Not recently. We're not in the 90s where you're like, okay, don't you better miss me with another 11-1 season, Bobby. I'm tired of these one-loss seasons. Like, this program isn't that. They're going to lose a game this year. They're not going undefeated again. They might lose 2, but if they're in contention, when you lose as much as they lost, when you lose 10 draft picks, including some of the best in the country, you don't reload to the point where you're not going to miss a beat. DJ isn't as good as Jordan Travis. He's good, but he's good enough to get you to the playoff. I think that's what I keep reiterating. And so, once you get in there, man, that's all you're trying to do. And that doesn't mean when you get into the playoff and you're hosting, TCU on a Friday night in December in what would that be, the 5-12 game or whatever? It's not like if you lose, you're going to be like, oh, well, wasn't it just fun to be there? No, you'll be mad and with good reason, but you give yourself a chance by getting into the dance, man. And then you can get lucky. Teams lose guys. They don't play well. They have 6 turnovers in a game, whatever it takes, where you can get lucky once you get into the playoff. So I just think I don't look at this roster and think, oh, man, they've got no chance of competing for a national title, because I look at this roster and think they have a chance to be in the playoff. And if they're in the playoff, well, then by definition, you're one of 12 teams that have a chance to win the national championship. Would they be favored against Georgia? Probably not. but try to avoid them. But then, in all honesty, man, we don't know what Georgia's going to be. We know they have a pretty good quarterback. We know they've got
mocked first overall, Corey.
I mean, of course, because he's the only quarterback anybody in the country can name right now. Literally, who are the biggest names? Is it Shedeur Sanders and Carson Beck?
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. And DJ. So we don't know what they're going to be. You would assume they lost a lot of talent. They might take a step back. We know Michigan's going to take a step back. We know Washington lost their entire offense and their head coach. They're going to take a step back. And Alabama lost their head coach, and they lost a lot of good dudes too, 5 of them who are now in Tallahassee. So they're probably going to take a step back. Well, I've just named all the playoff teams. So I feel like, Florida State has dipped probably from where they were last year, but who didn't? Yeah. At least in that conversation. Maybe Ohio State, but
only because
lost Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, addition by subtraction, because Michigan taking a step back is what's giving Ohio State any kind of life right now.
Right. So I think they've done a good enough job where this is a competitive roster. This is not a roster.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I mean competitive, not just competitive, they'll be able to compete each weekend. If things go well, if they avoid horrible injury luck, if they avoid bad turnover luck, they have enough talent, 1 through 85 on this roster, or 1 through 92. I don't know how many guys are on the roster right now, but they have enough talent, 1 through 85, to compete almost with anyone. I truly believe that. They are experienced. They're mature. They do bring back some talent, and they've infused the roster with some real experience and talent. And I think that they should be in contention to win the ACC, which means they're in contention to be in the playoff. And if you get in the playoff, none of these teams are just going to shred you. That just isn't how it works anymore. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, but saying that you don't think they're a national championship roster isn't outlandish, because you're just thinking, okay, is this team good enough to get in the playoff and then win 3 more games? I don't know. That's really hard, but it's going to be hard for whoever does it. That's a really hard thing to do.
I think seeing Georgia have 2 guys again, and it's silly of me, in May to be mocked to go 1 and 2, and Michael Williams, their defensive end edge guy, is mocked to go number 2, and it's ridiculous because I think Carson Beck is mocked to go 1 in a trade. So I mean, we obviously don't even know the order, but it's like, all right, well, this team's probably going to maybe be 3 and 14 or whatever. They'll trade up to get a quarterback of the future. But to see Georgia have a quarterback that's mocked to go 1, they got another guy in defense that's mocked to go 2nd overall, number 1 defender off the board. And I'm just, I take something away from what happened in the Orange Bowl, not in terms of what Florida State did in 2023 and what that team was.
Right.
But, there were some pieces that were there, and obviously they've added a lot of new pieces. But I'm like, I don't know if they've done enough to play and become whole and then play Georgia whole and keep it within a 10-point spread. But it's May. I'm not gonna panic too much over it.
And you are literally using the gold standard. You're using the program that is the best program in the country right now and the most stable. They lost to Alabama last year in their last game of the regular season, but that's not the same Alabama that we have now. Georgia's the only one of all the perennial powers that still is the same team. Michigan, again, lost so much, including their head coach. Washington, same thing. Alabama, same thing. Georgia's the one that returns the coaching staff almost intact, and then has, Kirby. Kirby's a really good coach, man. Kirby's the best coach in the country.
$13 million a year now, I think, on his new contract.
Yep. So he's got a really good program. But so take 1 out of the equation. You put Florida State with 2 through 130 in the country. Well, yeah, they're right there. There's nobody left there's nobody else in the country that you would look to that team and go, yeah, I don't know that Florida State could compete with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, Alabama, Texas, all those teams. You're like, yeah, I think Florida State could stay on the field with those teams. They're nothing. They're not any more special than Florida State is right now as we talk in May, because we just don't know enough yet.
It's just the quarterback position.
I saw Patrick Payton ended up on a mock first round.
Did he? Let's go.
Yep.
That's homegrown. That's grassroots.
Yep.
That's
right.
That's from the high school rank all the way up to the NFL. That's great. I think about quarterback, obviously, because I'm like, wow, I didn't realize Carson Beck was an NFL prospect. I just thought he was, quarterback on the best football team. But not having Cam Ward, I wonder how much that changes kind of the equation. I wonder if that's at all, Mike Norvell, we think, wanted to bring Ryan Silverfield and Dan Lanning with him when he got the job in Tallahassee. Couldn't get those guys, so he brings Kenny and he brings Adam, and it takes a few years for that to start kind of building up. Obviously, we know Willie had his number one options at coordinator, couldn't get those guys. And you feel like you had your number one option at quarterback. You went after him and you couldn't get him. So maybe part of our expectation should be calibrated by the fact that it wasn't like they sat on their hands and went into the season like, all right, we're going to try to get somebody that's more than adequate to lead our football team. They swung for the fences and ended up not getting who they might have projected to be the better prospect. But it's not to say that DJ can't outshine him. Let me put something really unfair on DJ's shoulders. He's a big guy. He can probably take this. Corey, if I told you that he was going to complete 72% of his passes for 3,500 yards and have 29 touchdowns and only 7 picks, would you say championship game Florida State makes it to at least?
ACC championship game?
Playoff.
Or the whole thing?
The whole shebang. 72%. 35,
but I would say without a doubt they're in the playoff.
Oh, well, gosh, I'd hope so. Absolutely.
That's what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about anyway. That's all I want. I want them to get there. But, yeah, no, I don't know that I can say for sure they're in the championship game. But DJ has turned it around. Not that he's horrible, but that would be better than any of us could ever dream of from that position.
I say those numbers because, this is probably not a fair comparison, but Bo Nix played so much football before he showed up to Oregon.
Yeah.
And then he kind of transformed his whole life. I mean, his whole football life, at least. Kenny Dillingham did. With it, then that's his first season at Oregon, not this past year where he threw for over 4,500 yards and had 45 touchdowns. But again, I know we saw DJ look the way he did in spring, which didn't seem to portend to being a quarterback who's going to throw for almost 30 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions and over 3,500 yards. But this coach is better than Kenny Dillingham. Yeah. And Kenny did what he did for Bo Nix, and I think DJ probably has just as much God-gifted natural ability as Bo Nix, and I don't think Oregon's got any playmakers above and beyond far what Florida State has on their roster. I wonder if we'll start convincing ourselves at some point if we see like a good week in Jacksonville or a good week before they go to Jacksonville where we start talking about why can't DJ make a crazy step in year 5 of his career, because he's in a whole new staff with a whole new system of a guy that's proven to be able to create points and yards seemingly with the snap of his fingers.
Yeah, it's a fair point using Nix's first year at Oregon, because remember, he was written off. Like he was just
damaged
nothing.
Goods, yeah.
He was nothing special at Oregon, at Auburn. He was just you're right. He was almost like a joke, and then he's the 12th overall pick and had 2 really good seasons at Oregon. So, yeah, I mean, there's nothing that says that can't happen. I think, I didn't watch enough Oregon to know how many deep shots my man Nix took, but I know DJ will. And so, those completion percentage numbers will probably be lower than that. But if he can be anywhere in that neighborhood, which isn't outlandish, like I might say it's a little bit outlandish because Jordan Travis never even got in those neighborhoods. And Jordan Travis was good just because the offense is a little bit different. They're not they don't throw as much. They have as many big plays on the ground as they do in the air kind of thing. But if he could be somewhere around those numbers, then yeah, man, I think that this team becomes a team. You know what you want to be, Aslan. You want to get to the playoff, and what you want to be. You want to be a tough out. You want to be a hard out. You want to be a team that the other team has to play well to beat you. And if DJ is that kind of quarterback, like a Bo Nix 2022 version or a Jordan Travis 2022 version, then Florida State, in my mind, will be a tough out. And going back to the Cam Ward thing, yeah, man, I think Ward certainly has accomplished more in college than DJ has. He has had better seasons. He has been a better quarterback in college so far through their first 4 years than DJ has. But I think, and I don't know the inside story. I don't know exactly how it played out. But I have to imagine, because Cam Ward declared for the NFL, I think his price tag was probably a bit higher than DJ's.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So then you wonder, okay, They could have put all that money into Cam Ward, but would that have cost them 2 of those defensive linemen? If they have a finite amount of money to spend, which I assume everyone in the world does, except for Elon and Phil Knight, if you only have a finite amount of money to spend, well, you have to make some, adjustments, and you have to make some, negotiations, or kind of think to yourself, okay, we could get Cam Ward, but then you're not getting any other defensive lineman, or you're not getting a receiver. Or we could save some money and make sure that you've got some depth on the defensive line, and you've got some linebackers and maybe an extra receiver. And you have to do that math in your head. Like, what's it worth? And we'll see. I think Miami got another commitment this weekend from the Michigan State defensive lineman. So they're all in. They're putting their money in, which good. It's crazy they didn't do that before.
Well, they did. They just weren't winning football games.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I mean, they've gone after the biggest. They've gone after the biggest names out there in the spring cycle, anyway. And so, yeah, I think that Cam Ward might be a better college quarterback, but he might be on a worse team because of all because of the concessions that Florida State made in saying, okay, maybe we'll take 1B at quarterback instead of 1A, but then we'll go get that guy, and that guy to help our defensive line.
It's oh gosh, what a
weird. Hey, it's crazy to talk about it.
It's Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes taking like less money on the cap so they can have a winning run.
Look, if I get that it's going to be like this. We're going to be talking about money and NIL for the rest of time that we cover college football. I wish we knew like parameters, like make these contracts public or something, so we actually know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, is Cam Ward making $800,000 more than DJ, $1.4 million more than DJ, or $30,000 more than DJ?
Yeah.
Like, we have no idea. Like, you look at these. Like, I didn't get mad at the Braves when they didn't sign Ohtani. When I found out the Dodgers paid him $1 billion, I'm like, well, what can you do? But if none of those contracts were made public, I'd be like, well, the Braves are just cheap. Right. Braves don't spend any money. Like, it's odd that college football now pays these players probably exorbitant sums of money in some cases, and we have no idea what the going rate for anyone is, not publicly anyway.
Do you want to know Bo Nix's pass distribution in terms of yardage?
Oh, I thought you were going to say his salary. Yeah, sure.
Oh, gosh. In 2022, 65% of his passes were 9 or less yards.
Okay. See, man. You want to watch that offense? I mean, it's cool, and you got Ja'Kai, and you got Jalen Lucas. You got guys that can make plays if you get them the ball 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, but it's a whole different offense he's running. 65%?
Did we didn't run that many. Gosh, thank you, Mike, for having Kenny not do that when he was here. I don't care if that would have meant like one more win, unless maybe it was Jacksonville State. But I don't want to root for that team. I don't want to root for that kind of team.
You remember this? I know you remember the Syracuse game because I dumped champagne on myself afterwards in 2021. Remember Jordan threw I feel like he completed 20 passes for 130 yards. Like, all he did was throw, and one of them got intercepted because Cam McDonald missed a block. But all he did was throw bubble screens the whole game. And they scored some points. They ended up winning it because Jordan's legs. But it was like this.
Fitzy's leg.
Well, that's right. Sorry. Well, it was Jordan's legs to get down the field. Yeah. And then old Fitzmagic split the uprights. But it's like, man, this isn't a fun offense to watch. Like, he's making throws that anybody on the team could make. He's just literally taking the ball and throwing it out wide. So, yeah, I guess Nix did some of that when he was out there.
Meanwhile, that was 43% of DJ's repertoire last year in Corvallis.
Okay.
So, I mean, 18.5% of his attempts were 20 or more air yards. Nix was only 11.5. So, I can live with like a 65% completion. I don't need 71. But
man, I'll live with 61.
Okay.
If he's hitting 2 or 3 huge pass plays a game, I'll live with 61%.
He completed 57% last year in Corvallis. So
okay, you can live with that.
Yeah.
If you get that exact DJ performance this year, same number of turnovers, same number of touchdowns, first downs, all that.
No.
I think you're
better.
close to
better, Mike. We have a $10 million head coach. He's got to make him better.
You're right, but even if he just stays the same because it's a new offense, blah blah blah, or the receivers aren't as good as we'd hoped. You got to assume this receiving core is as good as Oregon State's was last year. But if you just get that guy that should be good enough to get you to the ACC championship game, which means you're in the playoffs, essentially. You win that game, you're in.
Speaking of playoffs, postseason on the horizon for softball. What happened?
Oh, my gosh.
Started gassing them up, and then,
disaster.
Wednesday night wasn't awesome against Florida, although gritty effort.
Great comeback.
What happened in Syracuse? They lost the game 13 to. They got run ruled.
Yeah, 13-5.
Syracuse team that I think is maybe 6-7 games above 500.
And I think they hadn't. This can't be true, but I feel like they hadn't lost to Syracuse in like 2 decades. And then they lost the series up there. They lost on a walk-off in the first game. They hung on barely to win a game 4-3, and then got run ruled in the third game. I don't know, other than the pitching troubles are back, and McKenna Reed didn't pitch all weekend. So I don't know exactly what's going on with that. Like, if McKenna Reed isn't available to pitch, this team isn't going very far. Because they just don't have – otherwise, the pitching they have just doesn't get it done. They're not good enough to get it done. So, don't know. Don't know what went on there. The offense still did some things, but, yeah, don't know exactly what's going on. But, yeah, like Mimi Gooden pitched the game they won, 6 innings pitched, 9 hits, 0 strikeouts. That's the game they won. So McKenna Reed I don't think has pitched in a while. And, we don't talk to Lonnie enough to know if there's an injury or whatever. But, yeah, man, now if they don't have her, the ceiling is maybe you can somehow win a regional. But right now, you're just trying to host a regional, not a super. That ship has sailed. They're not hosting a super regional if they get there. But at this point, you're fighting to just host a regional. You might be on the road for a regional because they were number 14 in the country going into Syracuse, and they went 1-3 this week. And 2 losses were horrible because they were to Syracuse. Don't know, man. Yeah, Syracuse is 8-15 in the ACC.
Yeah.
Or 9-15 now because they won that last game.
So Florida State, this isn't like unprecedented. Florida State didn't win the conference in 2022, or at least the regular season. That was the year that they lost to Mississippi State here. They were a national seed, though. They were the number 2 national seed that year, which is crazy that they didn't win the conference. Regular season. But I don't know. I guess maybe just get right in Duke and Durham for this tournament, and then, yeah, you're going to host. Most likely, they'll be a top 16 seed to get a regional, but or maybe this. I don't know. I'm not going to bet against Lonnie. What a bizarre thing. I think she'll center them up. She'll ground them.
Well,
not
just
not
go.
like your parent, but just get them back to earth.
The portal is open. You've got some really talented freshmen that are going to be the stalwarts of your lineup with Torres and Beecham for a while. Kennedy Harp, I think, is a really good player. You've got to go get some more pitching for next year because this clearly isn't it. Ashton Danley, she's only a freshman. Her numbers aren't horrible, but she has not been, I think, what we thought the number 2 player in the entire country would be her freshman season. She's been hit around. She hasn't been anything special on the mound. Again, it hasn't been terrible, but hasn't been special like, let's say, Beecham has been special. So, and you're losing some pitchers. And quite frankly, that's probably not a bad thing. No offense, but it's not. So she's just got to go in the offseason and get herself go get that girl that the transfer from Oklahoma to Nebraska and then did something to her arm. What was her name? She was their best player last year. Jordy Ball?
There it is.
There it is. All right, nailed
Crushed it.
So I was right. They were Florida State had won 20. They were 24-0 all time against Syracuse going into this weekend. 24-0 all time, and they went 1-2. This has been a bizarre season, man. Yeah. That's like the 6th time they've given up more than 10 runs in a game this year, which I don't think they've done that the last 3 years combined. Just weird. But yeah, if McKenna Reed is hurt, then they're in trouble. And if they're just saving, but even if there must be something wrong because she's not pitching. But if you can get her back to anything like she was, because she started to pitch well, looked like herself again. If you can get her back to what you need her to be, then who knows, man? Maybe they can make some noise. I looked it up, by the way. Jordan Travis in that the Champaign-Syracuse game was 22 of 32 for 131 yards. His long was 14.
Oh, man.
22 completions for 130 yards. That's crazy.
And there's no promise that 14-yard completion was even like a 9-yard throw.
Oh, I'm sure it was at the line of scrimmage and Pokey made a couple guys miss. Or maybe Parchment.
Women's tennis season ends in the second round of the NCAA tournament. They were ranked 20th in the country going into the tournament. They lost to Georgia. Mm-hmm. But the men have advanced to the Super Regional. They're 10th in the country. They took down UCF on Saturday 4-1.
Is that what they call them? Super Regionals?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
They will make their second Super appearance in the last 3 seasons, and they are among the last 16 standing for the 5th time in program history. So shout out to Coach Holtquist and the men. Mm-hmm. Beach volleyball, whatever karma we have to do, live chicken sacrifices, we have to start maybe taking under heavy consideration. Ladies come up short in Gulf Shores, lost in the quarterfinals, but we reconvene. We come back next year stronger and better. It's going to happen one of these years, Corey, right? Just keep
giving yourself a chance. Keep getting in the dance. Yeah. Who'd they lose to? They lose to Cal Poly?
Sounds right.
Yeah.
But I don't have it in front of me.
I don't think Cal Poly should be good at anything, sports. But yeah, so I don't know who won. I assume USC won it all. But I have no idea who won the women's beach volleyball championships. But it was not Florida State. Another good year. They did win some things, but they didn't win the main one yet.
Yeah. USC won their 4th straight title.
There you go. Well, that's fun. That's fun. Good times. Maybe they'll take a step back now that they're in the Big Ten. They're not going to get. What are they going to do for I guess they don't even. I guess they still would play all the California teams, just like Florida State doesn't play ACC teams. I guess because there aren't enough schools that play beach volleyball. So I guess USC's schedule will remain the same. I was hoping they'd have to start traveling to West Lafayette and Northwestern in Michigan, and that might screw them up. Can you imagine what Michigan's beach volleyball team looks like? Like how good they are? Just playing down to that level of competition might screw them up for the Nationals. But apparently they probably don't have to worry about that.
I was going to quote my guy Bob Green from Montana Tech and my time in Butte. When he talked about his team, he said, "We're kind of like a woodpecker in a petrified forest. We just keep busy, looking for opportunity." So
nice.
Stay busy out there on the beach. Why don't we call it sand volleyball, by the way? I
always get it wrong. Is it not called sand volleyball?
It's beach. It's called beach. Okay. But
even though they don't play on a beach.
Only this tournament is played on the beach.
Yeah.
Maybe Southern Cal plays on the beach.
Probably that's the advantage they have, man. They're used to playing with wind whipping off the ocean. Florida State doesn't get that, man. They're playing in sand trapped around parking garages.
Yeah.
They don't get any of that ambient atmosphere that comes from real beach volleyball. So I don't know what they can do. Maybe they can start practicing more at Wakulla Springs. Is that on the beach?
Well, there's not there. I don't think it's sandy enough. There's not enough of a shoreline.
Hey, once you start getting that Big Ten money, you can go build yourself a beach volleyball court down there.
Speaking of the beach practice facility between the parking garages, I parked at the parking garage on Saturday to come out for the game that didn't get played, the baseball game, and there was a dude, or maybe it was a girl. It was a singular human being playing a real live drum kit, I think either on the 3rd or the rooftop of the garage. Oh. It was crazy. There was no other music playing. And I was thinking about it. Imagine if you did play drums and you're in college. There's no way you can play it in your dorm or your apartment or even your house probably. So it's why not figure out a day where there's nothing going on really, or maybe you wanted to play it when there was a whole bunch of people going to be around at the baseball game. But yeah, why not just take your kit to a parking garage and just cut loose and go nuts on your drum kit?
Yeah, because you're not bothering anyone. Yeah, it's perfect. It's a good idea, Aslan. Or go to the beach.
It wasn't. It was or go to the beach. Yeah, it wasn't New Orleans cool where it was just one guy tapping on a drum or something. This was a full, probably a 7-piece kit. I mean, guy was just going nuts. The lady was going nuts. I wanted to go see what they were all about, but I didn't.
I guess normally people that do that really well and do it for a while and practice a lot, they must soundproof whatever room they're in.
Right.
Muffle it, I guess. There's a girl. Have you seen her name's Nandy something? Bushnell. She challenged Dave Grohl to a drum off during COVID. Huh. And then he had her come on stage for one of the Foo Fighters concerts in L.A., and she played Everlong, the last song of the night. She took over. This was when Taylor Hawkins was alive, and she took over for him. Go watch that on YouTube. Just type in Nandy. It's Nandi. I think it's Bushnell.
But it's Bushel.
Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. She was 11, I think, during that time. She's 13 now. I know she has her own channel. But Like, I know she practices a lot, but it just reminds you when you see stuff like that, and you see it in sports all the time too. It just takes your breath away how supremely talented some people are. Just a gift that they've been given, because that is not normal how good she is, and how good she was apparently according to her dad when she was 3 years old. Like, it's like Tiger Woods was like Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is what happens when you're blessed with incredible talent and you're an unbelievably hard worker. Like, you love what you do and you're an incredibly hard worker and you have all that talent. I think this girl is like that. Like, if she works hard, I assume she does, but like, it's just cool to see stuff like that. I don't know why that, well, because you brought up drumming. But yeah, man, it's just some people have these just extraordinary gifts. And it's cool that, because if this was 1970, we would never know about her. None of us would ever know. How would we? Unless we were strolling by a flat in London. That's what they call apartments over there, gang. They call them flats. If we were strolling by a flat in London and heard her. But now we get to see all this stuff. So I know the internet, I don't know if it's a net positive or a net negative, but it is cool that we get to see stuff like this on a regular basis. Just you get exposed to greatness a lot more than you used to. So it's a little it's inspirational. So go watch her.
Does your mom tell you that after she reads your columns?
My mom doesn't read anything I do. She listens. She always tells me she listens to the first 5 minutes until we start talking about sports, and then she turns it off.
Well, she got a good 10 minutes.
I was going to say she got to listen
Sharon.
to her son driving around with a suspended license for 6 months. She's going to be excited about that.
And also, tip of the cap to Mike Norvell, who won the internet with that tweet on Saturday with the prayer hands emoji, retweeting that Verse and Benson were going to get a redemption first pitch on Saturday's game, and he was like,
but they didn't. Yes,
like, it was great. Well done, Mike. Good.
Yeah,
to see
he said what? Like, it can't go any worse, or only up from here. Yeah, because you could tell they didn't play a lot of baseball growing up. Verse was actually throwing warm-ups on the field, but I don't. He never got to throw the first pitch, obviously, because they didn't have a game. But it's like, it's crazy how good he is at the thing that matters, and how he has no clue how to throw a ball.
Yeah.
It's weird that you grow up like that. You grow up so big and fast and powerful and enormous and a great athlete, but Brady can throw a ball better than Jared. That's the only thing probably on this earth that Brady can do better than Jared Verse, but he can throw a baseball better than him.
Amen, brother. All right, that's a wrap for us. Probably like in 3-show-a-week mode now.
Amen.
So one of those shows will be a mailbag. So post those questions. We'll have the thread probably up on Tuesday. I would like to do like on Monday, but usually the tweet goes out trying to solicit questions for headlines. So I don't want to like step on headlines. I don't want to step on the gold standard of potting. So we'll probably have the thread up on Tuesday, and we'll record that for you folks on Wednesday for Thursday. I don't know. We'll have Michael Langston on though for sure later this week to talk recruiting. And yeah, we're just going to be like a woodpecker in a petrified forest, everybody, and just keep busy. That's what we're going to do. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.